Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. So we have been studying Saddarsanam, and each verse is a verse that underscores that sat, that reality. So we have covered so far up to verse number 7. And in verse 6 and 7 are the verses that we saw last time. And verse number 6, Bhagavan said, from whatever standpoint you take yourself to be, if you take yourself to be the body, and that is how you will look at the world and Ishvara also. If you take yourself to be something other than that, then that is how your relationship would be. And then in the 7th verse, we started getting into Panchakosha Viveka. So we will continue with that idea in verse number 8. We have a vast universe in front of us. A limitless world is right in front of us. And scientists have been trying to discover so many things, but they have not been able to arrive at what the truth is. They continue. Just give me 1 second. Somebody is trying to log in. Let me answer them, and I'll be right back. So scientists have been working so hard, but they have still not arrived at its limits. And they further say that the universe is still expanding. This vast, limitless universe is created by the Lord. No question about it. But even though that the universe is vast, is existent, and all that, but only a very small segment of this vast universe falls within my experience. Only a minuscule, infinitesimal part of the universe is what you and I experience. The universe itself may be vast, but what you and I experience is very small. If you analyze it that way, you get a different perspective, totally different perspective. And you will find this vast universe does not bind me as long as it does not fall within the range of my experience. If something is happening in Siberia or Africa, even though it is existing, it is happening there as we speak, but I do not even know about it. I do not respond to it. It does not affect me. It does not create any disturbance in me. Right? We are all Jivan Muktas with regard to that part of the universe. You don't even need to go to Siberia or Africa, even in your own town. There are so many streets, so many thousands of people. So many things are happening to them. Does all of them affect you? So the first point to be noted is, it is not the existent universe that disturbs you and me. It is the experienced universe that affects us. It is the experienced universe that is a burden to me. That universe that produces raga, likes, and dvesha, dislikes, asuya, jealousy. And this problem-producing universe, that alone occupies my mind most of the time. Only that becomes a burden to me, a problem to me. We always look preoccupied. If you watch your mind, most of the time we are preoccupied in what is the preoccupation? Husband, wife, children, some neighbors, our pets, health, financial security, and a few other things. These are the things that occupy our mind. The heavy burden of these thoughts is in the head. It bends and breaks our neck, our back, everything. The universe, not the entire universe, a subset of it becomes a burdensome universe for us. So Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi says, experienced universe is the bondage, not the existent universe. So be careful. It is not the existent universe that is a problem, but it is the experienced universe. Vidyaranya Swami in Panchadashi devotes a entire chapter to discuss this point. He calls the existent universe as the Ishvara Shrishti and the experience world as the Jiva Shrishti. In that way, each one of us are creating our own worlds. That alone gets colored by you, and that alone becomes a burden. So in this verse, Bhagavan says, the very experienced universe is there because of ahankara, the experiencer only. The experienced world is there because of the experiencer. You can never talk about the prameyam, the experienced universe, without the pramata, the experiencer. Therefore, ahankara is the basis for your burdensome universe. So if you want to tackle the binding universe, instead of attacking the world, go to the ahankara. That is the other side of the coin. Ahankara and the experience world are the two sides of the same coin. The experienced universe depends on ahankara. The quality of the experienced universe depends on the quality of ahankara. If ahankara is sat, the experienced universe is sat. If ahankara is asat, the experienced universe is asat. If ahankara is mithya, world is mithya. If ahankara is sattva pradhana, the experienced universe is sattva pradhana. You are all familiar with this episode in Mahabharata, where Duryodhana and Yudhishthira went around to explore and find out whether the world is good or bad. whether the people in the world are good or bad. That was the assignment given to them. So they did that and they came back. And Yudhishthira said, all the people in the world are such wonderful people. And Duryodhana said, all these people are wicked, evil. Why? They saw the same set of people and totally diametrically opposite assessment. So their perception of the world was based on the quality of their own ahankara. So the quality of ahankara determines the quality of the perceived universe. That is why the wise, enlightened masters see the world as Nandanavanam, a delightful garden. And the other people, the ignorant people, they find the world to be miserable. So the idea here is, do not struggle to tackle the universe. Learn to tackle your ahankara. Pujya Gurudev gives a beautiful story. It seems his little daughter was disturbing her father. A little daughter, not Pujya Gurudev's daughter. A little daughter was disturbing the father, who was busy doing some other work. So when the girl was pestering him, the father wanted to engage her in some activity so that she will not disturb him. So he had a newspaper in front of him. He took the one whole page of the newspaper with a pair of scissors. He cut the page into little pieces, mixed them up, gave it to her. He asked her to reassemble the pieces. Right? The father created a big jigsaw puzzle and thought that would keep the girl busy for a while and she would not disturb him. To his utter dismay, the girl came back quickly, just in a few minutes. Done. We underestimate our little kids. They're smart. So what did she do? How did she solve that big jigsaw puzzle? Naturally, the father was surprised and asked her. She explained. On the other side of the page, there is a full page picture of Donald Trump. And she put that picture together. And that was easy to assemble. That puzzle was easier. So she did that and just flipped the page. So that is how you do it. In the same way, the world may be puzzling you, disturbing you, may be a burden, but just tackle the other side of that puzzle, your ahankara. The world is also tackled because the ahankara is the basis for the world. So this is the essence of this 8th verse. Let us read. śabdādi rūpaṁ bhuvanaṁ samastaṁ. śabdādi rūpaṁ bhuvanaṁ samastaṁ. śabdādi sattendriya-vṛtti-bhāsyā. śabdādi sattendriya-vṛtti-bhāsyā. sattendriyānāṁ manaso vaśe syāt. sattendriyānāṁ manaso vaśe syāt. manomayaṁ tadbhuvanaṁ vadāmaḥ. manomayaṁ tadbhuvanaṁ vadāmaḥ. śabdādi rūpaṁ bhuvanaṁ samastaṁ. śabdādi sattendriya-vṛtti-bhāsyā. sattendriyaṇāṁ manaso vaśe syāt manomayaṁ tadbhuvanaṁ vadāmaḥ. Samastam bhuvanam śabdādi rūpaṁ. The samastam bhuvanam, the whole universe, consists of śabdādi rūpaṁ, the 5 sense objects. Shabda, sparsha, rūpa, rasa, gandha. The world of sound, touch, form, taste, and smell, respectively. Even though you may see many objects and may call them by their different names, you perceive the world in the form of these 5 sense objects only. When you see an object, you are seeing the form and color. You may hear the words, but they are all sounds. You may say this is the fragrance of a rose or a jasmine or some other smell, but they are all smells. Similarly, you may taste something and say it is sweet or bitter or tart, but they are all different tastes. So we do not experience any object, any substance per se, but only its attributes. The only role of sense organs is to report those properties, those qualities, those attributes. Scientists only scratch at the attributes, that's all. But Vedanta gets to the essence of the substance, which is Brahman. Any other name you give, they are not the substance, but only its attributes, qualities, properties. So Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says here that the vast perceived world is nothing but a bunch of 5-fold attributes. That's it. That's what it is. So samastam bhuvanam rūpaṁ. The whole universe is in the form of the 5-fold attributes, beginning with sam, śabdādi bhuvanam. So now the question is, how do you prove the existence of the world? So Ramana Maharshi says, śabdādi sattā, the existence of the 5-fold universe, bhāsyā, is revealed or proved only through vritti or pravrittihi, the operation of indriya, the 5 sense organs operating. That is what gives you the experience and the existence of the 5-fold universe. The world is made up of 5 sense objects, and the 5 sense organs respectively perceive the sense objects. So the existence of the world is revealed only through the functioning of the 5 sense organs. So that is why Shastra calls the word for the world in Sanskrit is prapancha. Pancha means 5. The 5 sense organs perceive the 5 sense objects. And that is what you call is the world. So this prapancha exists in the form of 5-fold segments. 5 aspects, 5 divisions of sound, śabdādi, sound, etc. Shabda, sparsha, rūpa, rasa, gandha. They are distinctly present, and our 5 sense organs perceive them. There is a one-to-one correspondence. So existence of the world depends on the sense organ. For a blind person, one who is totally blind, who has always been blind, the segment of the world in the form of, in shape and color, etc., it does not exist for that person. Any amount of description will not make him perceive that segment of the world. The form and color, shapes and color, that person can never experience. So also the other. If somebody is deaf, unfortunately, if he is born deaf, the world of sound he cannot relate to at all. He does not experience. Same thing with fragrance, etc. They say this COVID makes some people lose the sense of smell. I know a friend of mine, she lost a sense of smell, some accident. Yes. Luckily, they were not born like that. So such person may have some idea you can describe, but others, if you do not have that particular sense from birth, they don't have entry to that world. So all of us, we are experiencing the world through our sense organs, going out and enveloping the sense objects. Now in the next line, Ramana Maharshi says, sattendriyānāṁ manaso vaśe syāt. The existence of the sense organs depends upon the mind. You're all familiar with these ideas, nothing new. We've studied this. The sense organs go out, the eye sees the form and color, the ear hears the sound, okay? And then these are all external organs, they perceive external objects, and then once those things are perceived, then comes the action of activity of the internal organ, which is the mind. So the form and color, the sound, the fragrance, whatever it is, taken, and the mind processes that, those senses. So the existence of the sense organs depend on the mind. So the sense organ can function as a sense organ only when it is backed up by the mind. Sensing means registering, reporting, gathering the stimuli. Sense organs, they see, hear, touch, etc. They register that and then they report it to the mind. They gather the sense and report it. And then the mind has to work on it. If during this class, your mind starts to think of something else. For example, I say some name, say Suresh or Kritika, and that triggers a thought in your mind. You begin to think, who is this Suresh? Who is this Kritika? You may have some friend or relative with those names. Or you may be thinking, why does Anantji give these two names today? maybe he has a brother. His brother's name may be Suresh, I think. He might have a sister named Kritika or a sister-in-law. Okay? And your mind goes on in that direction. All right? Immediately, the sound that is coming from me will not even be registered in your ear sense organ. You will not hear a word I say. You have gone on to that la-la land. The moment the mind gets dislodged from the sense organ, your ears are there. It's part of your anatomy, but it ceases to function. It is no longer a sense organ. So we are not questioning the existence of the anatomy. We are questioning its function as a sense organ. So the indriyanāṁ sattā, the existence of the sense organ, is manaso vaśe syāt, is under the control, the power of the mind. While sleeping, ears are there, eyes are there, but the mind is not there. Your nose is open for business, it's breathing in, it does that function, but it does not smell any fragrance. So organs are there. Organs are there, but they are not functioning. They are switched off. So the sense organs have become nonsense. So we can see now the existence of the world depends upon the sense organ, and the existence of the sense organs depend upon the mind. Therefore, the existence of the world ultimately depends upon the mind. So the world and the mind are interconnected. As I said before, they are two sides of the same coin. This mind alone we call philosophically, in technical language, we call it the sense of individuality, ahankara, and that is located in the mind. Siddhabhasa sahita antakaranam eva ahankara. Mind with reflected consciousness is only called ahankara. So this is the technical definition. If this definition is too technical, we can give a practical definition. The mind alone is an I sense. Since only when the mind is active, the individuality, quote unquote, I is present. So this can be proved by Anvaya-Vyatireka logic. We heard this before, Anvaya and Vyatireka. Anvaya, whatever is present, when something is present and something else is present, and when the second thing is not absent, the first thing is not absent, then they are the same. So this is the logic. In the waking state and dream state, the mind is functioning. Then I have the individuality. I, as the experiencer, is very much there in the waking and dream state. So the suffering, the samsara, is there in these two states. Ahankara is there, samsara is there. In the deep sleep, when the mind is temporarily dissolved, switched off, is not functioning, the I sense, the individuality, the ahankara is dissolved. Ahankara is not there. Temporarily. Okay? Therefore, the world also dissolves. Again, temporarily. So that is why the experience is nirvikalpaka anubhava. The experience in the sleep is without aham and idam. Mind is switched on. So the mind and ahankara are practically synonymous. That is why we saw in Amrtabindu Upanishad the famous mantra, Manayeva Manushyana Karanam Bandha Mokshayoho. Mind is the cause for bondage and liberation. Therefore, Ramana Maharshi concludes, manomayaṁ tadbhuvanaṁ vadāmaḥ. We say, assert that bhuvanam, the universe, is nothing but a product of your mind. You can even say it is the mind. It is your brain child. Manomaya, a product of the mind, the product of ahankara. The world, the creator, the Ishvara, all that come. All those things come only after the I thought comes into play. If ahankara is not there, where is the world? Ahankara is not there, where is God? Therefore, Bhagwan's message is tackle ahankara, you can tackle the world. So, tat, that śabdādi rūpaṁ, in the form of sound, etc. This world, bhuvanaṁ, manomayaṁ iti vayam vadāmaḥ. We say that this world is a product of the mind. As you think, so you are, and so is the world, and so is that Ishvara also. Therefore, focus your attention on the mind, ahankara. Continuing, verse number 9. As I said, anvaya vyatireka. So that is what he is going to apply in the next verse. Let's read. Dhiyā sahodeti dhiyāstameti, dhiyā sahodeti dhiyāstameti, lokastato dhīpratibhāsya eṣaḥ, lokastato dhīpratibhāsya eṣaḥ, dhīlokajanmakṣayadhāma pūrṇam, dhīlokajanmakṣayadhāma pūrṇam, sadvastu janmakṣayaśūnyamekam, sadvastu janmakṣayaśūnyamekam. Dhiyā sahodeti dhiyāstameti, lokastato dhīpratibhāsya eṣaḥ, dhīlokajanmakṣayadhāma pūrṇam, sadvastu janmakṣayaśūnyamekam. So this is further explanation of the previous verse. Since ahankara and the universe are interconnected, and since one proves the existence of the other, both of them arise simultaneously and both of them dissolve simultaneously. There is no question of retaining one and dismissing the other. both of them go simultaneously. They stay together and they disappear together. So in waking and dream states, the ahankara rises. And at the same time, the world also arises. From the waking state, when you go to sleep, ahankara dissolves, albeit temporarily. It's temporary dissolution only, not permanent. So, at the same time, in deep sleep, the world is also dissolved. Again, temporarily only. As long as ahankara is dissolved. In that deep sleep, where is the individual? In deep sleep, there is not a king or a beggar. When Jeff Bezos go to sleep or you and I go to sleep, both of us are all the same. Sleep is a great equalizer that way. Similarly, when the dreamer gets out of the dream world is gone. The dream world is not there. How can you think of the dreamer? The dreamer is not there. How can you think of the dream world? So ahankara is aham-vritti, and the universe, the idam-vritti. Ahankara is aham-vritti, I sense, and universe, the world is this. So aham-vritti is ahankara, idam-vritti is the world, and the two notions are interconnected. They are interrelated. There is a mutual dependence between the two. The ahankara is not there, the world is not there. Deep sleep, I just told you, ahankara is temporarily dissolved, so there is no world at that time for you. So you cannot have the existence of one without the other. When two entities are mutually dependent, please pay attention, they are mutually dependent. When two entities are mutually dependent, neither one has an independent existence. That is what is important. Neither one is independent. So they are not the reality. They are not the absolute truth. Ahankara and the world, they are mutually dependent. So neither one is independent. So neither one is the reality. Neither one is the absolute truth. If aham-vritti is absolute truth, if ahankara is absolute truth, it should exist even without idam-vritti. The same way, if idam-vritti, the world is absolute truth, it should be able to exist without aham-vritti. So therefore, he says, lokaha udeti, the world, universe arises. Dhiyā, along with ahankara. Idam-vritti rises along with aham-vritti. Gone to sleep, had a nice sleep, just getting out of that sleep. What is the first thought? The I thought. Boom, ahankara has come. Then the entire world springs forth right away. So, lokaha udeti, the world arises when ahankara arises. So here, dhiyā means aham bhavanaya, dhihi means bhavana, along with. So we have to add the word aham. Aham bhavanaya, ahankara saha, along with the I sense, along with ahankara, lokaha udeti, the universe rises. So therefore, do not blame the world for your problems. It is you who allowed the rise of ahankara. And in parallel, the world came about. So translate lokaha as samsara. This ahankara got up, and so the samsara. So we have seen the anvaya portion of invariable concomitance logic, and now the vyatireka portion, the simultaneous absence. Dhiyāstameti, the world or the samsara dissolves or resolves along with ahankara. Therefore, there is no question of retaining ahankara and removing samsara. Samsara-less ahankara is an oxymoron because they always go together. They are both there or both are not there. By inquiry, we attempt to dissolve them both simultaneously and permanently. Given the example of sleep, but that is only temporary. The deep sleep state, both of them are temporarily resolved. Without Vedanta, without Guru, without Vichara, we do resolve both of them during sleep. That is temporary. Without inquiry, the ignorance has not gone away. So the resolution is temporary only. The Lord has created such an experience so that we can get a taste of moksha. He has created this deep sleep so that we can talk about this, understand that, and then go from there. Understand that in deep sleep there is absolutely no experience of objects, and therefore there is no samsara, no doer, no punya, no papa, no aham vritti, no idam vritti, no I sense, no world, no samsara, no suffering. Wonderful experience you have. Go through that experience, understand that it is temporary, and it is temporary because the ahankara is not completely gone, the ignorance is still there. So if you want to enjoy, experience that, permanently remove that ignorance. So from that sleep, unfortunately we wake up. Inquiry while awake into aham vritti and idam vritti is very difficult. At least idam vritti is something that you can objectify and see and analyze. This is not possible for aham vritti because ahankara, analyzer, is the one who has to be analyzed. So it is easy to say, inquire into ahankara and see its falsity. But it's not that easy because who is going to analyze that? That is you. The ahankara has to analyze that also. You cannot, but in case you put ahankara on a plate and say, I am going to analyze this. But who is going to analyze? Atma cannot analyze. And you have taken the ahankara, put it on a plate, it has become an object now. Then it is part of idam. It's no longer aham. This very subject can never be objectified. Subject cannot be analyzed as an object. Subject cannot be analyzed by an object. Atma cannot analyze it. This is tricky. So aham vritti, ahankara analysis, rather difficult, very subtle. Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi helps us in this subtle analysis through Anvaya Vyatireka. Dhiyā sahodeti, dhiyāstameti lokaha, tataha, therefore, eṣaḥ, this world, dhīpratibhāsya, is revealed after aham vritti ahankara. If two things are related mutually, both of them are not independent, there must be a third independent factor. There has to be an independent factor that is absolutely existence, and that lends support and existence to these two interdependent entities. Ahankara, aham vritti and idam vritti are mutually dependent, so that shows that there has to be a third entity which is independent of both, and that substratum is sadvastu, that is the absolute truth. So this kind of inquiry resolves both ahankara and samsara for good. For removing them, you do not need to practice separate inquiry. You just do ahankara vichara and both will fall. Now, if both aham vritti and idam vritti are resolved, who will know the substratum? If you want to know it, you have to become ahankara, aham vritti. And with the aham vritti comes idam vritti. Then you cannot know substratum. To know the substratum, this idam vritti has to be resolved. And that is what you do in meditation. Neti, neti, neti. When idam vritti is resolved, aham vritti is simultaneously resolved, then who can know what? You want to know how you look, so you look into the mirror and see your beautiful face. Nice. If I want to see that beautiful face, it will still be beautiful with your eyes closed. Many people have said, I really look beautiful with my eyes closed. You are such a sleeping beauty, they've said. But I want to see that myself. Can you ever do that? When I close my eyes, I do not see anything, including my reflection in the mirror. If I open my eyes to see, I cannot see my eyes, my closed eyes, face. What a conundrum. Same type of problem you run into when you want to know the substratum that supports both aham vritti and idam vritti. That is when you need the scriptures. And the Shruti says, Ekameva advitiyam Brahma. So that is what Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi says here. Then comes the question, if ahankara is resolved, the hero of the autobiography, the one that I have nourished so much for so long, will it not be suicidal pursuit? For that, Bhagavan gives the answer that ahankara is really the villain, not the hero. He has been masquerading as the hero. When the villain ahankara is killed, the real hero will emerge. The real hero is Atma. In technical language, the lakshyartha aham emerges when vachyartha aham is displaced. You have to look at ego squarely in the eye and say, you go. Not ego, you go. Ahankara, you go away. Removal of ahankara is not suicidal. It is the emergence of the real aham. Many philosophers charge Advaita as suicidal philosophy because jiva is destroyed, ahankara is destroyed. What is the point of moksha without aham? We say, remove only the pseudo ahankara. The real I will remain eternally. It shines forth brilliantly as ever. You've seen this. This is not a new idea. Ahamina shabat, ahamahantaya, spurati, tatsvayam parama pūrṇa sat. Saw that in Upadesha Sara. So now I am curious to know what is that real I. So the real I is defined now. Ekam sattvastu. The real I is ekam, non-dual, divisionless, unbroken sattvastu. Existence principle. The real entity, eternal principle, formless principle. That is what it is. Ultimately, you can say consciousness also. Okay. So the real I is the non-dual existence, which is janmakṣayaśūnyam, free from birth, janma, and kṣaya, death. The non-dual existence is free from this cycle of birth and death. It is pūrṇam, complete. It does not lack anything. Ahankara is eternally incomplete. It is always wanting, never full. What I want varies, that's all. Maybe a toy when you are a child, then a job, then a spouse, then children, admission to schools, college, this, that, and what. What I want, that particular item may change, but what I want, that wanting never changes. Incompleteness is the hallmark of Ahankara's biodata. Want less Ahankara does not exist because it is ever finite, incomplete. So the only real I is complete, infinite. Not only that, dhīlokajanmakṣayadhāma. It is the very dhama, abode, substratum of both the Ahankara and loka. It is the birthplace and the resolution ground for both I-ness and the world and the universe. For both the subject and object, the base is the same. Mayeva sakalam jatam. Mayi sarvam pratishtitam. Mayi sarvam layam yati. Tad brahma advayam asmi aham. That is my real autobiography. So everything comes to the I thought, I sense, Ahankara. Again, to quote from Upadeshasara, Ahamayam kuto bhavati chinvatah aipatatti aham nija vicharanam ahaminasha bhaji ahamaham taya spurati hritvayam parama pūrṇa sat. So Saddarsanam is seeing from where does both aham vritti and idam vritti arise. When you do that, you see that there is one reality without any division of the knower and the known. There is no rise and fall of that reality. That's sadvastu, aham asmi. That reality, I am. This is me. Aham vritti na asmi. The I thought is not me. Manaha na asmi. Mind, I am not. Panchakosha na asmi. The 5 layers of personality, that's not who I am. Ekam asmi. I am the non-dual advayam. Asmi aham. Thus, in these 3 verses, 7, 8, and 9, Bhagwan has shown that the whole world is a mental construct. The whole world is just aham vritti, and that I am not. But the substratum that supports both aham vritti and idam vritti, that indeed is me. Seeing that is Saddarshanam. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya pūrṇamevāvaṣishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.